Book 101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is executive coach as well as couples coach. And of course, an author too, and the author of the upcoming book, Marriage Incorporation, other than Dr. Robin Buckley.
Thank you, Daniel.
Welcome on Book 101, Dr. Robin. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Sure. So, the work that I do is a blend of psychology and coaching, and a lot of focus around cognitive behavioral strategies, which is what my specialization is in. But what I love about it is that blending in of the business framework. So, it works so well when I'm helping leaders or teams, and most importantly, couples really achieve the goals that they want for their relationships and their careers.
Dr. Robin Buckley, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Hoping for more and more empowering books like this to come. So let's talk about your upcoming book.
Mhm.
The title frames marriage as a corporation. What is the most powerful parallels between running a successful business and cultivating a lasting, healthy marriage?
I think, Daniel, if it came down to one thing, it's creating structure and plans that most of us enter into our relationships with wishes and dreams and lovely ideas, but we don't actually plan it out. And of course, none of us go into our careers, our finances, our businesses, not even our vacations without a plan. And yet, many of us, I would even hazard a guess, most of us go into our most important partnerships without any concrete plans. So, using a lot of the strategies, a lot of the principles from business that work so well for business success can actually do the same in relationships.
In this framework, Dr. Robin, our
Mhm.
partners, CEO and CEO, how does this concept of shared equal leadership change the typical power dynamics in relationship?
Yeah, one thing to start with, Daniel, is I very often recommend to most couples that there really isn't one CEO because that would create that power imbalance. But for the other titles, CFO, COO, any of the others that we can think of in related to business, when we delineate those roles in a relationship or in a partnership, we actually have that ability to have each partner have oversight of different areas of the relationship. And I use the word oversight very specifically because what it does not mean is that one partner has say or control over one area. So in my personal relationship, my husband is the CFO in our relationship. He has oversight of our finances. So he pays attention to them on a weekly or daily basis. He is really good with numbers, so he manages all our finances and our investments. But then once a month, we have a relationship business meeting where he's asked me questions. What do you think about this? Should we move our money here? Where are the areas that we were within budget and areas where we exceeded our budget? So he provides all the information so that we can make a decision together. And any of those roles that are similar to business, that's exactly what it is. One person has the focus on it and then provides the other with the information at delineated times during the month.
Why is it necessary to move beyond the idea of marriage as a purely romantic endeavor and apply strategic business like thinking to it?
Yeah, it is a hard one for a lot of people because we have been raised in most societies, not all, but in most societies that relationships and marriage are about love and sexual attraction. And those are lovely and wonderful. But if we don't have a firm structure for our relationship, love and sexual attraction can dissipate and sometimes completely go away. So when we have that structure, it allows all the things we associate, the emotions, the love, all of that get bigger. A lot of people will tell me, well, this sounds too rigid or too robotic, and does it's too hard to follow. But what it ends up doing is allowing for fun and spontaneity in the relationship because all the logistics are taken care of. Just like in a business, it allows, a business to grow when they know that all the other pieces are clearly organized.
Yes, truly, truly organized and have a pattern.
Right.
And on the strategy and operations, Dr. Robin, how does creating a shared mission statement or vision for
Mm.
the marriage provide a crucial North Star during a difficult times or disagreements?
Well, Daniel, I'd posit the same thing, that in business, mission statements, people are pretty clear about what a mission statement does for a business. It does provide that North Star. It keeps people within the organization unified. It helps clearly identify what are the most important things for the direction of the business. So, if all those good things come out of a business mission statement, why on earth aren't all of us creating relationship mission statements? And at least if I look back at all the couples I've worked with over all the years, maybe two had a mission statement and one of them was kind of loosely developed. And that boggles my mind. And I'm not an exception. I approached past relationships with no structure, no mission statement. But when we create a mission statement, it allows for the two partners to be aligned, to have a clear idea, to have it in writing so that it acts as a dynamic tool for their growth and for their evolution as individuals and as a couple. Because if we don't have one, or if we have one just floating around our heads, it's not effective. It's not concrete. So when we get our mission statements and share our mission statements not only with each other but with other people, it becomes almost like our brand, just like any other business.
Like other business for sure. What does a performance review or quarterly check-in for a marriage look like in a practice? How do we make it feel like productive or
Right.
connecting conversation, not criticism session?
Yeah. So the monthly relationship business meeting, that is a scheduled event on both partners' calendars, because we know in the world that if it's not scheduled, it won't happen. So you schedule it just like you would any business meeting in your life, and you sit with your partner and you have an actual undistracted conversation about all the elements of the relationship. So certainly logistics, finances, schedules, upcoming events, things that are impacting the relationship from an external perspective. But then you also have conversations around internal things. How is our emotional intimacy? How are we both feeling about the relationship? How is our physical intimacy? So there's designated time to do that, to approach those conversations. And so nothing gets overlooked or ignored in the busyness of life. One of the ways that it helps to make sure communication occurs really effectively during the meeting is to create an agenda. I know that sounds crazy when you're talking to your partner, but we wouldn't think at all about going into a meeting at work without an agenda. And those of us who have gone into a meeting without an agenda at work know it is just absolute chaos. It just doesn't work. We don't get to things we want to talk about. Things get overlooked, things get blown off. So having an agenda for your monthly relationship meetings allows for that conversation. And that includes things that might have been difficult over the past week or month. That if you're having a conflict and it didn't get resolved, that could be a topic for your relationship business meeting, which gives some space between when it happened and when you're talking about it. And typically, when we have that space, it reduces the emotionality and increases more of that logical or strategic thinking, which is really what we all want in our communication so that we can get to solutions. During these
Yes.
meetings, if problems come up, you had asked about a performance review. Well, that's a good opportunity to say, hey, we are not meeting our goals. We're not meeting our key performance indicators in the relationship. So maybe we do need a PIP, a performance improvement plan, so that we can really retool that area before it hits crisis.
Dr. Robin, who would be on the board of directors for a marriage? And what are their role?
Yeah. Board of directors are a little more challenging in a marriage than they are for individuals who are uncoupled because you don't, I don't necessarily think it's valuable to have too much input in the marriage. Once you've made a decision about who your partner is going to be, then the two of you are the organization. Now, you might have some very objective, hopefully can offer some objective opinion. It might be parents, it might be siblings, it might be good friends. But again, when you consider them as your board, when you're going to them to get their insights, I truly recommend couples have something again structured, written out even when they're, because otherwise there can be too much reactivity, too much defensiveness. Now, for uncoupled individuals, for people who are single, a board of directors is incredibly valuable because they can help the individual create what I call, well, business calls an ICA. In business, it's an ideal customer avatar. That's where you put all your resources into to attract the right type of customer. And when you're single, without not in a relationship and you want to be in a relationship, you can create an ICA, an ideal companion avatar. This becomes your idea, your profile of who you think, the type of person you believe you want to be with. And you in your ICA, you have your negotiables and your non-negotiables, and your board of directors helps you by giving you that outside insight. So maybe on your ICA, you say, well, I want someone who loves hiking because you love the idea of being a hiker. But maybe your best friend says, a hiker? Really? Your hiking boots have been sitting in the closet for 3 months. You haven't gone on any hikes. And maybe, you're a trusted parent is like, and remember in that last relationship, you want to avoid someone who, doesn't have really consistent communication skills because you really like getting responses within a few hours. So your board of directors creates that opportunity for additional insight that you might not have to really create an ICA that works so well and makes dating a lot less frustrating.
On human resources and communication, Dr. Robin, you hire your spouse for the role of life partner. How can applying principles of a good hiring process, clear values alignment, defined roles, and honest communication set a marriage up for success?
Yeah, and I just kind of skimmed over it for a second there, Daniel. When we look at when we're dating, it's really easy. I don't know about you, Daniel, but when I was dating, it was really easy to be distracted by bright, shiny things, is what I tell my kids. So,
Mhm.
someone who's super good looking, someone who showers you with presents, someone who is just super charming. But when we aren't able to have a structure for what we're looking for, it those distractions get in the way. Instead of, well, here were the things that I was very clear I was looking for, and those become your non-negotiables. I will, for example, for me, I would never be with someone who was rude to any type, well, rude in general, but rude to service workers. So waitresses, any helping profession. If that person that I'm with is rude to them, that tells me a lot about their personality that I am not comfortable with and I would not date. That's a non-negotiable for me. A negotiable might be really loves yoga. I love yoga. I do yoga every single day. My husband, he will at times, sometimes do yoga with me. He's not a fan, but every once in a while he will. But that's okay. I don't need him to love it like I do. I also don't need him to do it with me. I'm still going to do it. So that's one of those negotiables. So when you look at those human resources practices, there are things within roles that are absolute, that there's no negotiation around it. That is what you will be participating in. And then there are things that might be more negotiable. In this day and age, sometimes the amount of hours you're physically in the office might be negotiable. So when you approach creating a lifetime relationship that way, from the very beginning, it sets you up for a more likelihood of success. And then during your marriage, the same thing can happen because, again, you hope people evolve. So your negotiables or your non negotiables might change. There might be things that come up that you never dreamed of, particularly around significant life transitions. So job changes, deaths of loved ones, having children, moving, that can change. So your ICA when you were dating, and now how you look at your partner might also change, and it helps to keep it in mind in terms of, here are the things that I'm not going to compromise on, and here are the things that I absolutely can have flexibility with.
Dr. Robin, can or what can business teach us about having clear, respectful protocols for handling conflict and negotiation rather than descending into emotional arguments?
Right. It comes down to SOPs, Danielle. Again, as structured as it sounds, having a standard operating procedure of how you approach communication makes communication work better. It certainly does in business. Well, it's supposed to work in business that way. And so when you have that with your partner, it tends to enhance communication. And I'll give you one strategy or one example. I suggest to a lot of my clients that they create a safe word. Now, popular media has taken safe words into a different direction, but safe words in this instance is simply a word or phrase that you use with your partner when one of you notices communication is starting to spin out of control. So I'll use my husband, the one my husband and I use. So our safe word is seagull. And the reason we pick seagull is because it's associated with a funny and happy memory from our past relationship, which was when he was trying to propose to me. A seagull happened to land on the sand next to us before he popped the question. I don't like birds. And so it was really uncomfortable for me. So the poor guy had to like redo his whole plan. We had to move. We went somewhere else. And then he popped the question. I was like, oh goodness, that just changed his whole, like the whole thing he had planned out. But when we hear the word, it does two things. One, we know that the SOP, when one of us says seagull, is to stop the communication immediately. And we each take a 30-minute break until we reconvene to further the conversation. The second thing it does is, because it triggers a happy memory, what that does is it changes the neurotransmitters in our brain. Instead of the cortisol, the stress hormone that is flooding our brains when we're arguing or getting more emotional, it triggers the release of the hormone oxytocin, which is our connection hormone. So now our physical brain is actually trying to help in the situation by connecting us, all because of one word. So that's it's taking something from business, but bringing it into the relationship and then understanding the neuroscience behind it that is helping the communication.
Dr. Robin, as executive coach, couple coach, as well as an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
Oh, short term is for on September 18th to have this book in as many hands as possible, truly to give couples an option for enhancing their relationships, for making their relationships what they really want them to be. That's my short term goal right now, Daniel, is to make it through the next week. Long
Yes.
term, what I really hope to do is start to offer couples retreats where couples can take a break from the day to day, get away and learn how to connect in ways that are satisfying and truly what they're looking for. So that's going to be something that over the next couple years I'm going to be developing to offer to anyone interested.
Yes, definitely. And good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success, Dr.
Thank you.
Robin. And can you please give a piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
Like me, like an author, I would
Yes.
say that when it comes to writing a book and producing a book, know that there are two parts. There's the writing, and then there's the publishing. Both have their own challenges, but allow it to be part of the process. One of my favorite books is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, because it's simply about putting your creative ideas, putting your ideas into the world for the simple sake of getting them out there. And when you create something like a book from that perspective, it reduces some of the pressure of how many numbers am I going to get? Am I going to be a best-selling author? Am I going to do this? Instead of, I'm just getting this into the world so that maybe it can help someone, and maybe it's just something for me to achieve.
Thank you for that advice, Dr. Robin. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Yeah, so I just gave you one. Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert was one of my all-time favorites. And I love the perspective, particularly for women, with the idea of do things that just feel good, do things for you, and don't worry about the outcomes. The other book that I really think is it should be on everybody's shelf is called Bold Move by Dr. Luana Marquez, and it is a easy to read, user friendly approach to using cognitive behavioral strategies to make your brain work for you rather than against you. So both of those are I highly recommend.
Thank you for the recommended books, Dr. Robin. And if a couple wanted to implement this tonight, what is the first board meeting agenda they should follow?
Mission statement. Absolutely, Daniel. Getting a mission statement in place. Mission statements are typically no more than 3 to 5 sentences. It should be something you can easily recall, and allowing it to be a dynamic process that you work on over maybe a couple of weeks to really refine it so that it represents you and your partner as clearly and as accurately as possible.
If you could only give one recommendation from the boardroom blueprint to transform a relationship, what
Mm,
would it be?
that's a great question, Daniel. I think I would start one of the most important things is creating what I call no other zone. So every day, no less than 10 minutes, you sit and spend time with your partner without distraction. So no phones, no TV even, just time together. Even if you sit in silence, holding hands. But it's time when you can actually ask the question, how was your day? And not just get good. How was your day? Good. Because that doesn't really tell you how your partner's doing. So even people who are parents or have other people in the house, I recommend lock yourself in the bathroom, lock yourself in the garage, whatever you have to do to find some time alone, 10 minutes, do that because that's where the important connection starts to happen. And over time, the ripple effect of having those meaningful moments can really impact the longevity of your relationship.
Truly, truly impactful, Dr. Robin. And what do you say to someone who argues that applying cold corporate logic to something warm and organic as love will suck the romance out of it?
Yeah, I get that a lot, Daniel. I would say that if you are absolutely satisfied in your relationship and you are 100% confident that your relationship will always be at this level of satisfaction, then maybe you don't need the book. But that is a little absurd. Most people are not 100% absolutely perfect with their relationships. That would be inhuman. And
Yes.
most people I know cannot predict what their satisfaction level is going to be next year, 5 years, 10 years. So you can try doing it your way. Absolutely. But for me, I like to have all the tools available so that if things go a little sideways, I have something that I can tap into. So get a lot of if you're concerned about this one, get this one and get some others so you can determine what works best for you. But what I know about this approach is that it creates an opportunity for objective and logical thinking that isn't always present when we talk about love and sexual attraction.
Dr. Robin, what is the most common resistance couples have this approach and how they can overcome it?
So, if I heard you right, Daniel, because you glitched for a second. So, what is the most common issue for couples?
Yes, most
Uh,
common resistance couples have.
yeah. The most common resistance is that many couples I've encountered, besides the cold approach, they also think it's couples therapy. And Marriage Incorporated and couples coaching are not therapy. The biggest differentiation between the two is therapy is really targeted on clinical issues. And in a couple, it would be things like adultery, addiction, abuse, significant loss. Those are clinical issues that absolutely should start in therapy. Therapy also looks at the past to change the present. With coaching, there's no clinical issue work, and it is looking at the present to have a positive outcome on the future. So those are two very different approaches. Coaching very often is not as, if at all, emotional and painful as therapy can be, because that has a place in therapy. So if there's hesitancy with therapy, often couples coaching makes a lot of sense for those that are honestly too scared to do therapy.
Dr. Robin, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my Abstract Essay is already in fifth season, Abstract Poetry in second season, and my Book 101 review in fifth season too, Comedy 101 in second season, and my Food 101 in fifth season as well, Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101, and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Dr. Robin, is the goal of marriage is to create a perfectly efficient partnership, or to build a resilient, joyful, and deeply connected union that can be withstand or withstand any market change?
Oh, well, Daniel, you're just setting me up. You know it's the second one. Resilience and growth and endurance, that is speaking my love language. So absolutely.
Yes,
It's not just about efficiency. It's efficiency to get to all those other things.
definitely. And Dr. Robin Buckley, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, hoping for more and more empowering books like this to come. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your upcoming book, Marriage Incorporation?
Absolutely. People can find it on Amazon as of September 18th. They can also find it on my website, drrobinbuckley.com. And I am on 8 different social media platforms, including TikTok and Instagram.
Yes, people, let's support Dr. Robin Buckley, because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering advocacy, empowering books, and of course, coaching itself. So, Dr. Robin, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. It's a pleasure.
More to come, people. See you soon.